MP for North Antrim, and he joins us now from Westminster. Jim, what's happening in Ballymena? Why do you think this is happening?
Well, I think the first thing to say is that we all need to remember that at the heart of this tragic story is a 14-year-old girl who was subjected to serious sexual assault. But that is no excuse for the wanton, unwarranted, unwanted violence that was then perpetrated. Last night we had a very peaceful, large demonstration of solidarity with the family of that young girl, and the family were very clear that they wanted it to be peaceful. But sadly, forces that had other agendas to serve initiated violence, which we then saw on our streets. And it's quite appalling. And I do say to them, stop, because this is going to lead to an even more serious situation unless it continues. Now, there's no point in denying that there isn't a racial undertone to what has been bubbling in the streets of Ballymena for some time, because the area of town concerned has been oversubscribed, many of us would say, with immigrants who have come into the town, and that has stoked some tensions, but none of that excuses the violence which was perpetrated. Part of the problem for Northern Ireland is we're an easy touch for migrants of an illegal nature, and not all, of course, are illegal, in that EU citizens from Eastern Europe, like from Romania, and that's what we're talking about in this case, or Bulgaria, have the right of free passage to other EU countries like the EU. So they can come to Dublin in the Irish Republic, and then because the British government insists on no checks on the border into the United Kingdom at the border between Northern Ireland and the Republic, they then have equal free passage into Northern Ireland and onwards, if they wish, into GB. And that's what's been happening for some years, with busloads of some of these migrants arriving in this town and congregating in the area now heavily populated by them. And
what do you make of the Assistant Chief Constable, Ryan Henderson, who we played a short while ago on Sky News, saying quite straightforwardly but that he believes the unrest last night was racist? Not that it had racist undertones, it was racist.
Well, obviously, I think some of the targets were racist, but let's remember the family at the heart of this. You know, the father of the little girl is black, so it's not racist in that sense. The perpetrators are perceived to be from a migrant community, and therefore it's racist potentially in that regard. But this is something that has been bubbling for too long and probably ignored for too long by authorities, allowing a build-up of a migrant population in a densely populated area, in HPOs, and maybe not the level of policing, and certainly not any aspect of integration that you might expect. So none of that excuses violence, but
exactly. I just wanted to
does.
come in on some of those things you said, because you made a number of allegations there. I mean, there's an allegation of a serious sexual assault here against a child. So let's not go any further with identifying anybody. You talked about there being a...
Well, I think that when a child, above all, is the object of criminality and serious sexual assault, of course that is going to provoke empathy from the community. And I think the couple of thousand people who gathered were there to be empathetic to the family. They weren't there to bring violence, but some thought they would exploit the situation to do that. And my indication to them is that they are not welcome in doing that. It is not wanted in Ballymena. My constituency has suffered enough in times past from violence. We don't want any more. So desist, and I trust that will be heeded, though I fear there are those who are deaf to that call, and if they are, then they rightly face the rigour of the law, just as the perpetrators of the sexual assault must fully face the rigours of the law.
Jim Allister, MP, leader of Traditional Unionist Voice for Ballymena, thank you very much for joining us.